Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. I am very excited today to bring to you today's core four plays. These are the four guys that I'll be starting every lineup with. I really like the slate. You know, if you know me, you know the show. This is right in my wheelhouse. This is where I do my most damage. 7, 8, 9 game slates. We've got a 7-game slate for today, which I really like a lot of games. So let's go ahead and just give you a quick explanation of what the core four is. What it is, if you're new to the DFS Sweatshop, it is where the first thing I do is I assess the player pricing. I look at the player pricing, see who I feel comfortable playing with. This is where I like cross guys out automatically. If you cost too much, I'm not playing you. Like case in point, Russell Westbrook. But what I also do is these guys are high priced for a reason. Most of the time, it's the ball handlers, the distributors, the guys who can get other teammates involved. So just because I don't like Russell Westbrook doesn't mean per se that I wouldn't like one of his teammates, because if he's going to go out and have a great game and get close to making $12,000 in value for his salary, that means some other guys are going to benefit from his play. And you'll see that in today's core four. So then the next thing I do is I listen around for the industry chalk. Who are going to be the guys that are going to be most owned, that are probably going to play well, that everybody's going to be on. Because if you don't have these guys, you will not keep pace with the field. No matter how good your core four is, you're not going to keep pace with the field if you don't get the guy that scores 60. That's the chalk. That's everybody's on. You don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be a part of the 30% that didn't roster a guy that went off. So I find 2 chalk plays from there, and I do that by listening to the podcast, staying in touch with the DFS community on Twitter, things like that. The next thing I do is the NBA is going to give me a few options every day for value plays, guys that are either injured or sitting out. Like case in point, you look at today, news just broke that Al Horford's going to be out. Well, that does 2 things. It automatically boosts up the ownership on Hassan Whiteside. He is the industry chalk. If you probably don't have him today and he goes off, you're going to be mad. And then it also puts Kelly Olynyk in play at 3.7K. So with that one little move, I've got my industry chalk play that I've got to have, and I've got one cheap value play that will make room for another stud on my lineup. So let's go ahead and jump to today's core four. I feel really good about this core. Maybe we're going to start with Kyle Lowry. He's at 8.1K in a very plus matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers. He is a point guard at home, which is always a plus. Averaging 40.65 DraftKings points in his last 4 games, and we need around 48 in order for him to make value. Now, there is a blowout concern risk, but this Philadelphia team is a lot scrappier than we like to give them credit for. I talked about this on last night's show. I think he's going to play a decent amount of minutes and have a great game. I like Kyle Lowry tomorrow. The next guy's going to be John Wall. You know how I feel about John Wall. I love John Wall. He's at 8.7K, averaging 49 over his last 4 games. We're going to need about 52.2 points for him to make value. It doesn't seem like it's going to be very hard for him to do in an up-pace matchup tempo game against Sacramento, one of the league's worst against the point guards. I think he's going to play well and have a great game. Now, if I like him, if I like a point guard that much, see, it's hard to do this with Kyle Lowry. You have to go out and grab DeRozan, which they really don't play off of each other as much. A lot of times you're going to see Lowry on the floor and DeRozan is not, or DeRozan's on the floor and Lowry is not. But you see a lot of John Wall and either Otto Porter and Markieff Morris. I decided to go the cheaper route, and the third spot on today's core four is going to be Markieff Morris. I like Markieff Morris. Number one, a lot of people are not going to be on him. He's only averaging 16 points over his last 4 games. He's been having kind of a downwards turn right now, but I look for him to pick it up against the Sacramento Kings. We're going to need him to score 30.6 DraftKings points. That's all we need from Markieff Morris today to make that value for us. I think is easily doable. He may exceed that, and he's going to be very low owned. The last time I had him out, he was only 1% owned. So people are just totally off him. They're more on to Otto Porter, who's a little bit more in price, about $1,000 more in price. I think having exposure to John Wall's teammates in this game is going to be very beneficial. So if you don't like Morris and you like Otto Porter, go right ahead. But I like Markieff Morris, he is definitely a part of the core four. And rounding out the core four, we talked about him in the beginning of this video. Westbrook is an awesome player. They're going to play against the Knicks. It's not going to be a blowout, but Westbrook is going to be very involved, and he's going to destroy us. That's cool. I get that. But I think the person that stands to benefit from his play the most is Vic Oladipo. I love Oladipo at 6.6K. He is averaging 36 over the last 6 games. We're going to need him to get 39.6 in order to make that 6x value. Now, the combination of these players together, Lowry, Wall, Markieff Morris, and Vic Oladipo, is 171 DraftKings points. That is what we need from them in order for them to make that 6x value in our core four. And the beautiful thing about this is it allows us to pay up to Whiteside, down to Olynyk, and still get a couple more decent plays that we like to finish out our lineups. This has been your DFS Jerusalem. You can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Your core four is set in stone. Rock with me or make your own. Either way, never let anybody take you off of your core. And in the DFS sweatshop, we always keep it 300.